Hi everyone, and welcome to this next video. Sport is good. That's the theme that we have running through all of these 3D sport videos. But in the last video, we looked at the idea that performance-based identity, too much of a focus on performance, results, on winning, can actually break this good thing, sport, both meaning that the experience is less good, but also affecting mental health and ultimately and crucially, performance. A focus on performance affects performance, and we propose that instead a purpose-based identity, a kind of deep connection with why we do the sport that we do in the way that we do it, is actually crucial for driving not just experience, but also athlete well-being. And remember Ben Holtberg's work that we looked at, results. Purpose-based athletes win more medals. Crucial point. This video, I want to look at a additional way that athletes might be able to have a better, richer sporting experience and actually perform better. Now, on the High Performance podcast, one of the presenters, sports psychologist Professor Damien Hughes, said in a recent podcast episode, faith is the most under-researched area of performance psychology. I'm going to say that again because it's interesting. Try and hear the interesting bit. Faith is the most under-researched area of performance psychology. He's not saying faith might impact performance. He's saying it does. It's the most under-researched area of performance psychology, the psychology of performance. So then, it's important for athletes and coaches to understand the impact that faith, spiritual belief, or religious practice might have for athletes on performance if we want the best performing athletes. So, Adam Peaty, famous non-Christian athlete turned Christian athlete, has spoken about this on a sort of couple of occasions. And one of the quotes from the earlier part of his career was around the notion that the toughest part of his athletic experience was a couple of days after winning the big thing, the World Championships, the Olympic Games, when all of a sudden he realized that to be enough, to maintain his identity, he had to do it all again. However, in the second phase of his career, just before Paris Games last year, he said this in a BBC interview. I spent most of my life validating, getting gratification or life's fulfillment from my results. Results, 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 instead of, how are the people around me? How am I? How's my son? How is my family? And that attitude, the fixation on results, led him to some dark moments. He went on to say, all these things, family, how he's doing, actually do matter. It's not just about performance. And to get that, the only place I found it was at church. For me, the only fulfillment and the only peace is every Sunday. It gives me a nice balance. It's those everyday conversations or prayers that keep me inspired and keep me on the right track, that I've got a gift that I will use every single day. Why wouldn't I use this gift? So, it's certainly true for Christian athletes like PT or athletes of other faiths that rather than their identity being in performance, they can find great power and purpose and freedom from their faith and their identity being in something greater than their results. It's been said that our identity must be received. It can't be achieved. So, we can't win our identity, no matter how hard we try. And so long term, that's a losing battle. It reminds me to ground it in some pop culture of Cool Runnings, when Irv Blitzer comes into the hotel room and speaks to Doris before the Olympic final and says this, a gold medal is a wonderful thing, but if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it. Ashley Knoll is the sports chaplain who took Adam Peaty to church for the first time and does a lot of work, particularly in swimming, around the world. And he said that only love, unconditional love, can make you feel emotionally whole. So the proposition here is that those athletes with faith who receive this unconditional love from their maker, their God, whoever they believe in, might be emotionally whole and therefore in a better position to perform to their best in sport. So as coaches and as athletes, we need to understand this impact, particularly here in the UK. Now, this is especially relevant because statistics are now showing us that in the last 5 years, church attendance has increased by about 50%. People seem to be seeking this unconditional love that can lead to fulfillment. And this isn't just happening outside of sport, but also in it. Particularly in young men, the percentage of young men attending church in the UK has gone from 4% to about 16% in the last few years. So again, as coaches, as sports institutions and governing bodies and clubs, we need to be understanding and also attending to athletes who have faith. Because by fostering that in them, we may get higher performance because they, through this understanding of being enough and not having an identity wrapped in performance, may be liberated to play creatively and curiously, to find the ways that they can perform the best without any worry that they are going to be validated, to use Adam Peters' word, through the result. So, performance-based identity doesn't work. Purpose-based identity is where we want to move athletes. But an identity rooted in a higher power might unlock even more performance capacity and also allow athletes to have the best experience possible of sport long term. Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to know more, please click any of the links in the description below. And if you want to either work one-to-one with me or have me come out to your sports club, business, or sports organization to work through some of these principles with you so that you can flourish and thrive in a sport that is good and also perform at a higher level, then please do get in touch and I hope to hear from you soon.